Earlier. But joining us now on the Malzberg panel, we welcome back former Congressman and former chair of the House Intelligence Committee, our friend Pete Hoekstra, and our new friend, LigNet analyst Lisa Ruth. Welcome aboard, Lisa.
Great. Thanks for having me.
And Congressman, always good to see you, sir.
Hey, good to be with you. Lisa, welcome. I'm also affiliated with LigNet, so glad to be with you today.
Good to talk to you again.
We are one big happy family. I'll tell you. All right, let's start with you, Congressman. The House voting yesterday to go ahead with the Select Committee, and 7 Democrats voted in the affirmative for their own various reasons, and that makes it a bipartisan vote, does it not?
Absolutely. If you can pick up 7 Democrats, it becomes bipartisan, and you move forward. You start talking about you focus on the issues regarding Benghazi, and you really don't spend any time talking about whether Nancy Pelosi and that group are going to participate in the hearings or not. Focus on the substance.
All right. Well, Lisa, Nancy Pelosi today called the forming of the committee a stunt.
I heard that. Yes, I did.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate. Again, getting away from the bipartisan part, it would be really nice to see a bipartisan effort here, but that certainly suggests to me that that's not where we're going.
No, absolutely not. It's just, it's more bipartisan certainly than the health care bill ever was. It's 7 votes more bipartisan than the health care bill was. Lisa, talk about, we've had Trey Gowdy detail the questions he still has and wants answered from a variety of people. What do you think the most important questions out there regarding Benghazi, the most important facts that this committee can hope to unearth are?
I think you have to start back from the very beginning, and look at what happened, certainly, and really it's fascinating to me if you read like the Vanity Fair article. There were people in the cafe across the street who saw this, seeing what happened. But I think you have to go back even before that. I think you have to look at the intelligence ahead of time that assessed what happened. You have to look at whether that was an intelligence failure. Then you have to look at the security program. You have to try to figure out who put this thing together, what it was based on, and whether that was a failure. Then, of course, we have to come to the question of that day, what happened, why there wasn't a response, and then the after the fact. But I really think you have to look at it the whole continuum to try to figure out really where things went wrong at so many parts along the way.
Congressman, that pretty much cover it for you, or anything that you would also like to add to that list?
No, I think I'd go back a little bit further than that. I'd go back over the 4 to 5 years that this administration has had a policy in the Middle East and how it was going to deal with radical jihadists and Al Qaeda and those groups. And it started off early. They were going to embrace They did embrace the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt. They embraced the regime in Iran. They embraced radical jihadists in Libya that were the ones that overthrew Gaddafi. So I think you take a look at the bigger picture, the bigger policy issue, and then you take a look at what I really do believe was a cover-up in terms of the White House, totally focused on winning re-election. And in this case, the cover-up may be, we've seen that before, where the cover-up is actually worse than the event that initially began the whole process.
Are you're familiar with the list of committee members appointed today by John Boehner, I'm sure, and on that list there are 3 women, but one in particular who provides a nice compliment, Congressman, to Trey Gowdy and his prosecutorial history, a former U.S. attorney herself, Susan Brooks, a Republican from Indiana.
Yeah, no, I think what this shows is that John Boehner, the House Republicans, are very serious. This is not a political witch hunt. They're going after substance. They've got experienced prosecutors who are going after this. They will have to adjust to being in the political sphere rather than being, a federal prosecutor. The rules are different. The process is different. But these are very, very good investigators, prosecutors, litigators. I advise Nancy Pelosi. She ought to participate, and she better assign some of her best people to this process, or it could get to be very ugly for her and her colleagues.
Stacey, you know, there's all kinds of speculation as to why we were in Benghazi when everyone else left. That's one of the questions Trey Gowdy had. You know, when the Red Cross pulled up and left and every other embassy closed down, what were we still doing there? And I'm sorry, what did Stacey?
It's okay.
I'm
I
sorry,
knew you were talking to
Lisa Ruth. No. I'm thinking. I don't know why I said Stacey. Anyway, Lisa Ruth, of course. What do you think? I mean, what is your research and your take of it and read on the situation tell you as to why we were there? You know, we've heard speculation about arms going from Libya to the Syrian rebels fighting Assad. Is there any credence to that? Any truth to any of that? You think?
You know, I don't know exactly what we were doing there. I've heard the same thing. I've heard the Libyan angle. I've heard the Syrian angle. I've heard the latest one is I've heard that perhaps we were trying to get weapons back from the Libyans that we had given them. What I do think is there was something going on. There was an operation. I know an agency operation, but I'm sure there was also a finding. I think it was an illegal operation. The reasons, you know, if I was looking at it from an intelligence standpoint, I think there are a lot of reasons to be in Benghazi. Certainly, you were in a situation, you look at the area now, it is a no man's land. There's a lot of Al-Qaeda activity. If you're trying to get information on what Al-Qaeda is doing, it's a good place to be. I don't know specifically, right, but I do think you have to look at it as it was probably a CIA-driven reason to be there. And I do think that it was legal. There was a finding. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been there.
We'll continue our conversation. We have Vladimir Putin in Crimea, one topic of discussion when we come back with the Malzberg panel, Lisa Ruth and former Congressman Pete Hoekstra. What do you think about Benghazi and the hearings and the committee? Should the Democrats participate? Follow us on Twitter at Newsmax TV. Email us contact@newsmax.com or comment on our Facebook page at facebook.com/NewsmaxTV.